allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the anniversary of D-Day, World War II. We'll open the meeting with a moment of silence. Remember those who have lost their lives serving our country. To announce that the meeting is being recorded and televised by the local cable company. And at this time of the meeting, it's time for us to reorganize for the next year. So Frank is given for a short period of time the use of the gavel.
I may wait till the end of the meeting to reorganize.
That'll be fine.
At this point in time, I would move to reorganize the Board of Selectmen by calling for nominations for a chairman.
I nominate Carl Kowalski as our chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I call for a vote. All in favor of appointing Carl Kowalski chairman of the Board of Selectmen, so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous, Mr. Chairman. I surrender.
Do I get the gavel back?
Don't lose it.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor of doing this. You know, I enjoy doing this, and I appreciate the confidence you all have in me. The next item of business would be to accept nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Salvucci for Vice Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further nominations? Okay. Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye. And again, thank you very much.
And the last officer would be clerk. Is there a nomination?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Mr. Limbiese as our clerk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any further nominations? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of Scott's being the clerk?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Fulfills that obligation. Approval of bill and payroll warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Accept correspondence in the read file. A motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public forum. Now is the time for someone to speak who wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda. Approval of meeting minutes. Open session, April 11th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Open session, April 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And open session on May 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's almost 7:05, but we'll do a couple of things first. What I'd like to do is to make the fiscal year 18 annual appointments. You have a list in front of you, and they go from the affirmative action representative all the way down to crossing guard, special constable, and matron. And would somebody like to make a motion to make these annual appointments?
I'll make that a motion.
Second.
One more.
Any discussion?
Nope, one more.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Given that we've done that, however, that we still have some board and committee vacancies that I'd like to read through right now, and if anyone is interested in applying for one of these positions or serving in the capacity of one of these positions, just contact the Selectman's office. The AAA Advisory Committee, there's an alternate delegate vacancy. On the Building, Facilities, and Capital Expenditures Committee, there's a vacancy for 2019. On the Bylaw Study Committee, there's a vacancy, 2018, when the term would expire. Conservation Commission, there are 2 alternate member vacancies, 2018 and 2020 expiration dates. Economic Development Committee, 1 vacancy, 2020. expiration date. It's kind of a funny way to put it. Fair Housing Committee, 1 vacancy, 2000 to 2018. Historical Commission, 2 vacancies, 2018 and 2020. And 2 associate member vacancies, 2019. Old Colony Planning Council, Joint Transportation Committee, there's an alternate delegate vacancy, 2018. The Recreation Commission, there's 1 vacancy, the term to expire in 2020, and 2 non-voting member vacancies, 2019. Whitman Cultural Council, 1 vacancy, 2018. Sealer of Weights and Measures is vacant. The town is seeking to appoint a new sealer of weights and measures. So if anyone is interested in serving in any of those capacities, please contact Select.
Carl, may I say
Yep.
something? Yeah, also there is, I believe, for the town of Whitman, there is either 2 or 3 vacancies on the board of directors for our Whitman Hanson Cable Studio. If anyone's interested in doing that, please contact our cable studio in Whitman here. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for a public meeting with respect to the application of C&C Auto, Colin Emerson, for a Class 2 auto dealer's license on the premises located at 10 Buckley Avenue, number 9. Subject to the receipt of the license fee, a surety bond is required by Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 58, and a final inspection of the building commissioner. And I suspect that you must be Mr. Emerson, because the only person here that I don't know. Would you like to step up to the podium and tell us what you'd like to do? We have your application.
So like, can I have to send you a packet around of paperwork for you to look at?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give you time to look that over? Basically, I'm just looking to help support my family and get a dealer's license to help me grow my business.
Yeah, I'm just going through, you have a number of letters of recommendation, some from auto dealers in Whitman, and I think I see one from your father.
Yes, my father, yes. Thank you.
Get a letter of recommendation from your father, that's pretty good. Would I write nah. Okay. Everyone had a chance to look at the material?
Yes.
Frank, do you have anything you'd like to say to open this up?
Yes, on receipt of the application, we did conduct a verification process. I have visited the location at Buckley Avenue, which is a rather large garage with multiple vehicle service areas and parking, I believe to the right, well, facing the building to the right of the structure. I did meet with Mr. Emerson and talked a little bit about his interest and his background. He previously had a repair service, Emerson Auto, in Weymouth, Massachusetts. I did verify through the licensing authority that he was licensed in 2013 for auto repair, did seek but did not receive a Class 2 license and was denied that license due to zoning, location of the facility and the multiple other businesses that were in the same location. I also spoke to his landlord, Ken Sweezy, who verifies that he has rented there for the past year and has just entered into I believe, a renewal lease for
Correct. 5 years.
5 years on the facility. I note some technical exceptions on the application. There's a statement as to whether or not he ever applied for or received a Class 2 license in the application form, and he indicated no, but in fact had applied in Weymouth. And we don't have history beyond 2013. There are some other items in the background information that I believe will require us to go into executive session in order to meet with Mr. Emerson to further discuss his application.
Okay, and have you been informed that there might be an executive session?
Correct,
Yeah,
yes, I'm aware of that, thank you.
Then I'd like a motion then to go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, under Exception 1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. And also, Exception number 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or specific law or federal grant and aid requirements. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a
Second. Yes.
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 Okay, we're in executive session, and we'll return to open session as soon as we finish. As we did in executive session.
So,
Would someone like to read what Frank has written down?
I
We have a
believe,
motion to deny the application based on suitability in the discussion we had in executive session.
very good. I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what's next? Take action to appoint Michelle Frank to the position of member of the Historical Commission for a 3-year term through June 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest as required by General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 23B3 for Building Commissioner, Zoning Enforcement Officer Robert Carmen.
this is a recurring disclosure because Mr. Curran is a building commissioner and his daughter works for a developer, and while there is no direct conflict, there could be the appearance of it, hence the purpose of filing.
Any questions? All those in favor? Act on the request of Easy Auto Works and Sales Incorporated, Gerson Maciel, to increase the vehicle limit from 10 to 13 in connection with a Class 2 auto dealer's license on the premises located at 956 Temple Street.
So moved.
Second.
This was a recommendation made by a building commissioner after he went on site and recommended a reconfiguration of the vehicles there.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consider Chief Benton's recommendation to eliminate parking on South Avenue in front of Town Hall. Chief?
Dr. Kowalski, board members, I passed out a packet. You could just grab a hold of that. The cover page is the manual on uniform traffic control devices. That's the top page, and then there's a diagram in there with some language in regards to the diagram itself and the breakdown of what the minimum is from a crosswalk to a parking space is 20 feet is the minimum. They recommend 30 feet or more, but the minimum is 20. And so out front here, where the crosswalk is near the post office and where the crosswalk is over here, you'll notice there's 2 spots for sure over here, and there's one here that are not 20 feet from that crosswalk. That's for starters.
Okay.
It's not 20 feet.
I'm trying to find your pictures. I've got, here we go. I got them. Thank you.
And as you go through them, like, so I numbered them because otherwise I'd be up here trying to say, yeah, it's this one. So number 1 shows, you know, a vehicle that's traveling westbound, and you can see the vehicle parked just in front of the crosswalk there, and there's not much room. So what we have here too, a lot of the time, is a lot of almosts. Somebody goes to open their door without looking, and the door's going south, because, except for the reaction of a motorist or the person catches themselves in time to be able to slam it shut, there's a lot of, and there has been, and there's a lot of almost, and there's been, you know, that it's happened.
Have there been any happenings?
Not recently, we have had them, but not that type of an accident.
Okay.
Picture 2 shows the 2 vehicles. You see the vehicle that's, again, westbound, it's way over near the line to get out of the way and allow room for the vehicles that are on the right. If those vehicles aren't there, that vehicle doesn't have to get over as far as it is. And that's just a person driving who just is over there pretty far if you look, you know, the white vehicle driving. So that vehicle should be more to the right, but it's favoring the middle because of the vehicles that are on the right, parked on the right there. Picture number 3 shows the crosswalk. So if you were walking from the Venus side and you were going to cross the street near the post office, there's no parking obviously on that side, so there's no obstruction there. The obstruction's on the other side. And you can see, just as, you know, you'd be walking across the street there, there's no problem. Now, if you were coming the other way, you're walking out, there's one vehicle there, and granted that traffic's coming, but you can see the empty space. If there was a vehicle there in picture 3, then that would be blocked as well, so it'd almost make it like a closed-in tunnel. Picture 4 shows the crosswalk up now near Davis and Central, and you can see the blue vehicle, that's not 20 feet from the crosswalk. And it also gives you a good idea as you look down at the parking in front of the town hall, what that view looks like. You can't even see the sidewalk as you can on the right-hand side in front of Venus. It's completely blocked off. So it just gives you an idea of when a pedestrian's coming out from behind. So if you were crossing in front of where that blue car is in picture 4, some of the accidents that we've had where accident reconstruction has come out, and what the courts have said is if an operator doesn't have time to see the obstruction to avoid it, then they're not responsible for the collision. So clearly, if somebody walks out where that blue car is, if you walk out from behind there, you're almost out you're about 2 feet out in traffic by the time somebody can see you. Here's the other problem with this particular picture. When you come out of Davis, if you're gonna make a left-hand turn to go down South Ave to the east end, you almost have to pull completely out into that lane. And I'm sure if you've done this, 'cause I've done it, you almost have to be completely out in traffic. And the reason that we eliminated the parking space that was on the right-hand side, if you were taking a right near Dunkin' Donuts, was because the visibility was blocked and you couldn't see. So that's the same thing with this one here. Photo 5, again, it just shows like a bigger vehicle, you know, like a van coming through, and how close they are to the, you know, obviously to the vehicles, and then if a pedestrian was coming out. Photo 6 gives you a pretty good idea of just how congested. Now imagine on the other side if a fire engine had to get down there and go, there's no place to go. I mean, that Lowe's truck cannot pull to the right to get out of the way of the fire engine. Picture 7 just shows again that the minimum 20 feet from a crosswalk obviously is not compliant there, and 8 gives you that picture and also the other space that you'd lose just on the, just going by 20, the 20 foot rule. When we changed the parking down at Rayner Ave and South Ave, you know, when we eliminated the parking in front of the 418 block there, we haven't had any, we've had a lot of accidents there in the past.
It's a miracle that you haven't had one, because the way the lines have you go out into traffic, taking a right off of Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to crank your head like 300, almost 180 degrees to see if anybody's coming through the stop sign. And it's amazing how a line of cars with almost no space between them comes through that stop sign. So that, something has to be done with that. If you try it, you see how
Yeah.
unsafe it is.
And our thing was, where we had the majority of the accidents was because the vehicles parked along the 418 block.
Right.
Which congested the whole thing, because then you had people trying to go right, people going around them. The other way, you had the same thing, people going to the right, people trying to take a left. By opening the visibility up there, it's eliminated that problem for us. I understand what you're saying, and I haven't,
It hasn't eliminated the problem.
well, I'll have
Because
to-
it pushes, whatever engineer came up with it, it pushes you
Out into
out
the path.
into
of
the
vehicle.
path of the other
Somebody's
traffic.
not stopping at that stop sign, you're gonna
So
be taken
it
out.
sounds like it needs to be a stop or something then right there before you come out.
It's a yield.
Or more of an
Well, there is a
elbow.
yield.
There
There's a
is
yield
a-
now,
Would it be more of
except
an
you
elbow?
can't see. It's a yield that has to
You
be.
can't see to the
you have
So
to
it
be-
needs more
you have to be
gradual
closer
tur-
to the- Have
You
to
have
be
to move
closer
the
to the
building.
curb.
Mason.
But that doesn't solve this problem out here.
No,
How many parking spaces are, you're talking about spaces that are
Either
too
side.
close to stop walks? To
to crosswalks, yeah, you'd lose 3 just on the,
on
for
the,
the 20 feet. I
Right.
mean, they recommend 30, but if you went with 20, you'd lose 3. If
How
you went
many-
with 30, you'd lose 3 more, you'd lose 6.
There's only 8 there, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, there's 3 before, there's, where the Jeep is in picture 8, there's 3 more spaces after the Jeep in front of the post office.
Right.
So there would be those 3 there, and then in the town, from the town hall, from Davis down, in between, if you lost 2 here and 2, I think you'd probably wind up with maybe 2 spaces left. I just think it opens up, the issue, I have people come in all the time and complain they almost get killed in the crosswalk out here. And I understand, I know now, and then there's another way to evaluate this, and people say, well, how many people have been killed there? Or serious accidents, and, you know, that's kind of like a parachute that opens on the first bounce. Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna count bodies before we say, well, you know, maybe we ought to take a look at this. So, my feeling is, by eliminating the parking in the front of the town hall here, also, I mean, a good picture was the Lowe's truck. You have emergency vehicles going up and down here that they have to get somewhere. It's very difficult to do that. So, for the amount of spaces that are here and the other parking that can be utilized, whether it be on Whitman Ave, Hayden Ave, the town lot, or even the town lot over on the Church Street side. You know, I just think that for the pedestrians, and now I'm speaking, there's a reason to do it for the traffic itself, but certainly for the pedestrians, the biggest problem I see is visibility. They're not visible. And and that's why I believe it was, we had a pedestrian hit probably about a year ago that sustained some very, some life-threatening injuries out here. So, you know, I mean, I think we've moved to make changes that's in the best interest of public safety. I certainly leave it up to the board, but I would ask you to at least, you know, obviously give it some thought, look over the stuff. If there's something else I can provide for you or you'd like, I would be, you know, more than willing to do that. I mean, it's a suggestion. It's certainly nothing that's, you know, ironclad.
I hear where you're coming from. I'm concerned about people my age who need some place to park close to town hall when they come to town hall. The back parking lot is usually filled because of employees. Where else are they gonna go? Walk through the park? It's just.
We have a municipal parking lot right over there.
What?
So we have a municipal parking lot right over there.
Over behind the
Dunkin'
church.
Donuts.
Oh, behind the
On
Dunkin'
the other
Donuts.
side of
I
Dunkin'.
mean, maybe
Right.
some signage to help let
Yeah.
people know
Yeah, I
it's
think
there.
A lot of people think that's a private lot, I think, and I think they're the problem.
Yeah, it might need re-educated.
Yeah.
People need some re-education.
Can we get Old Colony Planning Council to look at this, Dan, or
They're the
they
ones,
come in?
they're the
and-
ones that put in the thing down in Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
Maybe we get them to take another look at
Scott,
that while they're here.
The manual you're citing is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is from the Federal Department of Transportation.
Yep.
Does the state have comparable regulations, and have we looked at those?
I believe the state follows the federal. When I asked I called the state police and I asked them what they use, you know, in the way of, for guidance through the Department of Transportation, and they said they usually will go by the federal. I don't know if there are any specific state regulations, but I can certainly find out.
Well, if they're from the AAB, they're gonna be tougher.
I have a few suggestions, I guess, I don't know if this. In 15 years of holding political signs out in front of this building, which were long and tedious, I might add, you get to see a lot of things. And I can tell you, everyone here, that people go way too fast in front of this building. It's outrageous. I don't know how many times I've seen one of your officers practically jump out of their shoes to get cars to slow down and stop and not hit pedestrians. And so I understand, you know, we're in a stuck between a rock and a hard place, losing 8 spots that are like gold and saving somebody's life. And if you look at picture 3, this is going to be in my bonnet for quite some time. There's a crosswalk there that has no ADA curb cut on both sides.
That's because they can't cross fast enough to get out of the crossing.
Yeah. I just can't believe
We are live.
we can't get that fixed, because if it's obviously not in this picture, but on 3, if you go to the right past that catch basin, on the corner is where the sidewalk slants down to go to the road. So you're asking people in a wheelchair or on crutches to go down 10 or 15 feet to the right, then come back in the curb,
Right.
in the gutter, to cross that crosswalk, which, if you can clearly see, has not been painted in a while. And then you add the congestion of the cars going by and the parked cars on our side, it's a recipe for disaster. And I've brought this up many times, and I don't seem to get any answers at all on it, but I believe that the picture you showed me was the other crosswalk has the cut down near Davis.
Yeah, it does. Or you have to go around the corner to get to it.
Yeah. So it's an inconvenience losing parking spaces, but it's very, very dangerous for people with disabilities on that crosswalk. And I know that that's really not why you're here, but it's
Yeah.
a result of the discussion. So I think we need to look at the whole picture of this particular stretch of road. And I don't know what the speed limit is there, but I know
I
nobody's
think out
following.
here, it's, if I'm not mistaken.
25.
I wanna say it's 25.
Yeah, nobody's
That's the statutory limit. We can go to 20, but there's a petition process involved that we have to go to the Department of Transportation. The Governor's Modernization Act put out all this information about our ability to change speed limits, but it didn't change how we do it.
Yeah. It's just my observation of being down there for so many years, and you know, it's a dangerous place. And I agree that something has to be done. And really, I mean, this ties into the whole downtown area where we had requested and received permission about detouring the 10-wheelers from going through the center of town. I go to Ted's quite often, and I see them still pouring through there. And there was an accident today at that intersection. So, I mean, we have issues. And if we follow the guidelines you suggest that these crosswalk spaces, we have to look at them all over town. We can't just,
Oh, yeah, there's a list.
yeah, you
I've
can't
been
just pick
talking
this.
to Bruce about it. Yeah, there's a list,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them.
yeah.
And how many of them don't have that curb cut? I haven't checked, but, you know, it's,
Curb cuts are a problem.
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't come back to bite us already.
Well, there's actually a federal program starting in the fall to visit 8 curb cuts in Whitman. Believe it or not, they're all down by Old Mansion Lane and the streets on the side coming toward Route 18. None of them are in the heavy walking areas.
And you mentioned something about this new program, Streets.
Right.
And I don't know if that would
Complete streets.
pay for things like that.
Scott, did we widen the sidewalks when we did that renovation back when the trains came in? And did we lose space because of that?
You know, I'd like to tell you I remember, but I don't.
Because I don't, I remember
don't.
your sidewalk.
I know, though, that's one of the locations where the train is, where the crosswalks aren't in conformity with the 20-foot thing. So there's, in front of the barber shop, which I'm sure isn't gonna be a popular thing either,
You
but
figure near where schools are, where the downtown is, the
Right.
train, where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic is really where you need to focus this.
I have a couple of suggestions. If I may. Chief, I agree with you. In picture 7 with that Jeep that's in front of the crosswalk, it's very difficult if somebody's parked there for them to come out and somebody see them coming down the street. If we were just to eliminate, we'll say, that parking space, do a curb cut on both sides, I guess the DPW can probably grind the granite and do a curb cut. And then if you go back and go on the other end and just take the parking space that's, picture 5, what, that one white, that blue car?
Taking this one.
the white car, picture 3,
Oh, let's go with picture 3.
you'd lose that space,
No, why lose that space?
because that's within 20, that's less than 20 feet from the crosswalk.
Okay. Unless
take
you,
it on
unless you
both
recon,
sides.
if you, huh?
You'd be taking it on both sides.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
you-
here's
you'd
the
lose
question, here's the thing
space
that I
on both
have.
sides there.
If you eliminate the parking space that's up by Dunkin' Donuts, one that's in front of the crosswalk.
Right,
If you come
by
back
Davis.
20 feet, right, and then redesign the parking spaces from that point, reprint them out, you may be able to save that one parking space after, you know, in the white space for the space for that white car, you may be able to save it, because it may be up another 3 or 4 feet. The reason I'm saying to leave that there, if somebody is crossing the street, if they're coming this way, you can see, if you eliminate that. If someone's coming from the post office and walking across, the traffic is coming this way, so you can, if there's no car here, you can see past there and they can see the walker. It's not a problem with that car, because it's not in line of visibility of the person crossing the street. So, I mean, I can,
You're still gonna have a diminished visibility no matter what when you have vehicles there as to what an operator of a vehicle sees. But I think that, 20 feet is the minimum. They
right,
recommend 30. So, I guess if you wanted to reconfigure all the spaces, somebody could come down and you could eliminate and then reconfigure them.
right, and see if you can get as many as you can, because I look at it this way. Yes, this is a problem, but I can drive, you can go down in front of the Holy Ghost Church, that's even worse. There's parking on one side, and if you continue up South Ave, as you go through the center of town, you have parking on both sides of the street, you have the same situation. It's just as tight as parking on one side here and no parking on this side, just as tight. So, I
Just as
mean,
tight as what? As this?
As this,
What
yeah.
is?
if you were to
In
go
in where? In the center of town?
the center of town.
No.
Parking on South Ave on both sides,
Yeah, no way.
I look down the street and it
It's
looks-
tight, it gets tight right out here in front of Venus, and it's eliminated on the one side. I mean,
But I mean,
I understand the importance of the parking spaces, and I certainly can be sympathetic to, I understand that. The 418 block, I think, they've been parking in front of that for forever. And
Where?
people I know didn't want it to happen, but you know what, they've all made it through it, you know? It was
yeah.
changed for public, it opened up the ability for snow removal and the DPW to do that safely, but it also made it safer for pedestrians there. That's where, if you remember with it, we had one person seriously injured there too. And the tough part here is, and I can't, the almosts. I can't give you a number on the almosts, but there are a
Right.
lot of almosts every day. So it's a concern, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't come, because I have people coming in and yelling at me that they almost get killed in the crosswalk out here. Like I said, I know, it's happened to me too. So I'm just, it's a concern. If you want to see what you'd eliminate and then see if it can be
you have to do that, look at
restructured,
it.
or however you'd want to do it, I mean, that's certainly up to the board.
Dan, how quickly could we get the Eric's group from OCPC out here to look at this and do a layout?
We can do it, write up a letter, send it to them, and then call Pat. It's a very small project, maybe they
So
can
I'm
come in.
thinking, this is something
Yeah.
they could do fairly quickly.
Right.
Doesn't have to go into a long planning queue.
Right, we just get a letter from the board, asking that, you give Pat a call, tell him what we're looking to do, and they'll send somebody up and do it. And just, that they can, maybe be able to configure, but once you open that book, they're gonna demand that curb cuts be made and other.
Well, we should have those curb
Yeah.
cuts.
Also, I wish this, if the speed limit's 25, nobody knows that, because the sign that states 25 is heading towards the railroad tracks. I mean, we should have another sign stating 25, at least around by the old Holt School.
Why don't we
The
start the
condos.
process to reduce it to 20?
We can do that too. Yeah. A letter from this board to Old Colony,
Well, no, there's a
process for
new
that.
process we have to follow, but we'll start on that immediately.
Plus, before-
That's one part of it. And then, once we do that, there's gonna have to be some periodic enforcement to remind people
Yeah, we can do that.
that the speed limit is 20. Get signs up,
We
signs that are
we can
visible.
put the radar
radar
trailer out
thing
here
up
too.
Yeah.
And we can do enforcement too, I mean.
I agree, we gotta do something.
We
with
can
that.
take a little used car and park it
Yeah.
with the Venus.
One thing too
Put the
about
lights
this crosswalk here, before you make the curb cut, we might even entertain the idea of moving that crosswalk to a different spot.
Yeah, you may
Because
wanna.
It doesn't have to be there.
Well, right, but you can't put it there
No,
because of the
right,
grading
But there
there.
might be room to the right.
Of that? Yeah, you might wanna look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able to
Yeah,
do
I'm
something.
assuming that's where it is because of the desire to put it midway between
Right.
the town hall and the post office, which are the two big draws there.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for bringing it up, chief. Okay, that exhausts the agenda. Around the board, Frank? Anything?
Just for executive session?
Okay. Randy, you wanted to bring up something about Dollars for Scholars.
Just in light of the awards ceremony that took place up at the high school for Whitman and Hanson high school seniors, I just wanted to acknowledge Whitman Hanson Dollars for Scholars. Since the inception, they've given out close to $2.4 million. This year alone, with the help of 27 volunteers and 81 student volunteers, they were able to give out 112 scholarships for scholastic merit, accomplishments, and activities, totaling $122,810. It is a tremendous group. It is actually, the anchor of this group is actually a town hall employee, Mr. Michael Ganchert. He works tirelessly for this group. It's an amazing accomplishment in itself, and it speaks volumes about the two towns.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
All right, Scott. Dan?
Yes, I have a couple of things. One, on Saturday, June 24th at 11 a.m., we'll be doing a dedication in the park for Ned Kirby. I know it's kind of early, but the DPW planted a tree in his honor, and we'll be dedicating it on the 24th at 11 a.m. I would like if June O'Leary can maybe come in at our next meeting and talk about it, because we're having it on the 20th, and she can update people on any possible changes. I've got a message into June if she could give me a call and maybe come in and talk about it. But Ned was a very important person for the town of Whitman. He achieved a lot for the town of Whitman, and I think this is a great idea. And also, I just wanted to say that this Friday night at South Shore Music Circus, South Shore Tech will be having their graduation. And it should hopefully be a good night and no rain. That's it.
Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Mr. Salvucci, and I don't know if anybody else was there. I know Frank was at the parade, but I was away for a couple of weeks, and so I missed the Memorial Day parade and Fireman's Sunday. I want to thank you for representing the board on behalf of all of us who couldn't make it.
It was a good breakfast, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Never misses a dinner.
No?
Okay, we need to return to executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exception 3 this time, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body.
So moved.
Second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll return in open session only to adjourn.